Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff. Sorry for the, I don't know, all of the getting twisted around here with what's going on. I apologize for that. I'm trying to do something different. So basically YouTube, if you schedule a video out, it can get kind of wonky. So I apologize for that. Sorry. I'm just going to let people know that there is a new Hangout. Let's see here. And hop in. Okay, sorry. So yeah, the one that I made previously, whatever. Chaos Spawn, Doug's worse than Tom. You're full of crap. I've been doing this for a while, and I rarely have trouble. Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. I am here to crank out some orcses, man. So I'll give everyone a chance to move on over, and I'll get my paints together. Tabletop Experience says hello. Yeah, so yeah, I'm in the process. Well, YouTube's in the process really of transitioning from their old platform to this newer one they're using, and I'm not a huge fan. I'll just put it that way. It's like they're beta testing like random things, but then all of a sudden you have this conglomeration of stuff. It's like, okay, well, the stream key that the old version made is not working with the beta version, all that kind of stuff. So let me get some music playing. We'll start hanging out. We'll start grooving here. Bum, bum, bum. Let's see. I always like the comm list. It's always my favorite. Okay. And here's my chat. Sweet. Yeah, YouTube, it's cool. All the stuff that they're doing is like ultimately going to be really cool. It just takes a good long while for it to actually work. So, you know, it's one of those things like you got to just work through the pain and that kind of thing. Let's see. I need Xandri's list. So, okay, now that I'm kind of collecting myself and getting myself together, now that I'm past the frustration, I thought we would do something kind of fun tonight, and that is the cause for the stream's title, the date night. So I did this thing a while ago where I had said, like, you know, just to get to know each other, just to have something to chat about if there's no Warhammer news, which right now, of course, there's not because it's all 40k all the time. I wanted folks to, like, ask me, like, date night questions. Like, what's a question you would ask somebody on a date? We could just chat about funny things like that, whatever. And it's just like get to know you, hang out, have a chat, just chill with each other. And if you do have any specifically Warhammer related questions, you're more than welcome to ask. It's just kind of a question list. So it's on, what's the name of this site again? It's so ridiculous. Mantelligence, which it just sounds bad. Like it just sounds like a bad idea for a website name. And they put together 137 uncommon first date questions, and that's what we're doing tonight, friends. Some of them are kind of obvious. It's like, what do you have to do in your free time? Like this. We're actually doing it. Actively doing it, I mean. So, those kinds of questions I'll breeze past, but I thought it would be kind of fun. Kind of voodoo swapping is this? Let's see. So, if everyone's down just to chat about nothing for a little bit, we can get started on that. Let me make sure. Yep, okay, everything is working. Sweet. Exciting. Let's see. Okay, here's how this game is going to work, okay? While I'm painting my Savage Orcs, let me make sure I'm painting in frame so it's not just like me hold up at the bottom. Okay, here we go. So how this is going to work is... Oh, I got a question here I'm going to answer in a second. So I'm going to ask a question from this list, and I'm going to answer it. And if you're interested in playing along, go ahead, and if you're not, don't worry about it. But so I'm going to ask the question, and I want you to answer it while you're typing out the answers, because it takes like 30 seconds for things you write for me to see. I'm going to go ahead and give you my answer, and then I'll read off some if they're of particular interest, and that's just kind of something to fill the time. At any point in this, feel free to go ahead and type question in all caps in the chat, and that one, we'll stop and answer if someone has an actual Warhammer question, just to stay on, just to be on brand, we'll go ahead and answer a question for folks. So, let's go ahead with our first one. Who is the most fascinating person you've ever met? I'm going to say in real life. That's my clarification there. So, who is the most fascinating person you've met in real life? Go ahead and throw the name in the chat. For me, it has to be Bruce Springsteen. So basically, my cousin up in New Jersey, she rides horses and trains them and breeds them and all this kind of crazy stuff. Well, apparently Bruce Springsteen's daughter is super into horses as well. And so I was standing at a fence, just kind of like I had to tag along. I don't really care about horses, to be perfectly honest with you. And so I was just standing there. This man comes up and goes, hey, is your sister out there? And I was like, no, it's my cousin. And like, how about you? You got a daughter? He's like, oh yeah, it's just that one. And he pointed to a girl, and we just chatted for a little while about the weather, about being people who are horse folks adjacent. And then he just kind of moseyed away. He had to go do something. And then my mom came up like gasping for air afterwards. And was like, oh my god, do you know who you just talked to? And I was like, no, just a nice guy standing around. I was like, that's Bruce Springsteen. I was like, oh, cool. So that's my Bruce Springsteen story. So, as do you see, we have a legit question in the chat. We'll go ahead and answer that real quick. Why is Bone Grins the wrong war clan? Wrong war clan. Why is Bone Grins the wrong war clan to pick? I'm not sure why you repeated yourself, but I'm assuming you mean why is Bone Clan's the wrong war clan? It is not. It is the best war clan. It is my favorite one of all the Bone Splitter ones. And as you can see, I'm painting up some Savage Moorboys right now that are going to be part of Bone Grins. They are the best. They are probably contenders with the best use for cogs in the game, the Endless Spell. So if you're not familiar, this is what makes Bone Grins so ball-bustingly annoying, is if an enemy unit starts the charge phase, it's any charge phase, within 12 inches of a Bone Grins unit, they have to attempt to charge it. They can't not. And so all the things that people hated about the old Slanesh host rules, where you had to charge if you could, and people are like, oh, I hate losing control of my models. You can then apply that to your enemy and make them do all sorts of shenanigans. So if you take cogs, you get faster. And of course, the drawback to cogs has always been making your opponent faster. But now they're faster in a way that they have to charge and land it. So that's awesome. I love it. It's going to be, for the person who's really good at model placement, they're going to be very annoying. And I'm so excited to see those kinds of people come out of the woodwork. Who's like, it's an army that's not over the top good and has never been over the top good, but they can be over the top annoying as all heck. So, I love that one. So let me go ahead. Let's go to our next question on our date night list here. What are some movies you really enjoy? So for me, movies that I enjoy. I don't know why it was a hit that I didn't see really sticking to me, but it did. It was actually Cloud Atlas. I really enjoyed that movie. It's beautiful. Beyond that, Forrest Gump probably has to be one of my top favorites. And I love Silent Hill as my favorite. Like, I don't know. It's not a direct, obviously, adaptation from the games, but cinematography in that was pretty amazing. And it blows my mind when I watch it. Really, really enjoy it. So go ahead and tell me, what are your favorite movies? Let's see. Like Atomic Tover, like long walks on the beach and totally tabling my opponents. Tabletop experience. I'm a little bit late. I'm a little bit confused. What is the plan to be your main army? Iron Jaws or Nurgle? So the plan was always to have a fully painted army and then work on something else in the background. This way I'm never at a point where I don't have a fully painted army. And the new Ironjawz book came out. So Ironjawz were my fully painted army, and then the Maggotkin are going to be my painting project, like in the background. And so what I am doing is, since the Ironjawz book came out, and it is so stinking fun, I'm having a blast with it. I'm actually just adding a few more units to it, but then I will resume the painting project. I'm trying to grow as a person and be like, I don't need to purge a project just to start another one. You know, I can enjoy two things and go back and forth on painting. And I cranked out, 15 Blight Kings, the terrain feature, the tree, and did some conversions on a leader guy. I just needed a break, you know, it's whatever. And if doing this means I'm not selling them, that is a big step for me, because that's always what I do. Usually if there's a millisecond where I don't have enthusiasm for a project, I'm just like, you're gone. You're done. But I still have it all. And actually, randomly gained a Tau army this weekend, and that was interesting. There was a guy just clearing Tau stuff out, and I was like, this is great. I mean, they're up-to-date models, but he painted them when he was a little bit younger, and he's like, oh, you know, I know the paint job sucks, man. That's why I'm going to cut you a deal. And it was a super deal. And I'm looking at the paint job, and it's like, no, this paint job is great. It just needs a wash and a highlight. He just, you know, he never let himself get that far into painting to know that he was so close to having an army that looked incredible. It's just like, yeah, I'll take him. So that was unexpected, but not unappreciated. Let's see. I saw there's another question for me in the chat. We'll go grab that. Hot Fuzz is a great movie. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, let's see. Question, do Stormcasts date? To my knowledge, they do not. If I go on a date with someone, should I invite them to see my squig on the first or second date? I'd say 3. It's a solid 3. Omniphase question, what do you do with models that keep changing weapon options? Like Wild Riders used to have shield options, now they don't. Eternal Guard no longer even reference shields. I don't know. I mean, I think most opponents would not have a problem with counts as. I didn't realize that there were such dramatic changes to the weapon loadout. I mean, when I say dramatic, I just mean like, you know, every time they change how something is modeled, it has a ripple effect, right? There were plenty of people who had Savage Orcs and then were like, what do you mean these guys are now more boys and these other guys are, you know, basic Savage Orcs? So I mean, they made an artificial difference. I don't know. I think the number one thing I would just say is just be reasonable in the sense of like, no opponent's going to be like, actually you can't use those models because they don't have a shield on their war scroll. It's like, no, they're just going to take it at face value. So that's being reasonable, like, to yourself, not setting unrealistic. You know, I gotta have it modeled the exact way. Because technically it is modeled the exact way, it's just the rules changed. But as far as, like, basic units that have changing profiles, honestly, I generally just don't worry about it. Let's see. Spezia, movies that are campy, you know, we can enjoy and make fun of them kind of same way. Oh, yeah. Groundhog Day, Forrest Gump, nice. I really love Burn After Reading. I have never seen that. I will check that out. Lucky Number 11. I love it. Make sure you don't drop any models. Here, my brother was in Bothell today. Let's see, Hot Fuzz. For your videos, I picked up a Greywater box this weekend, just an FYI. You get the multi-kit that builds at Iron Breakers and Drakes. can build the copter or bomber. Yes, I did know that. Anytime they put out a thing that has multiple options, they always include all the options. That's awesome. So, okay, let's go. Here we go. Number 7 on what TV series do you keep coming back to and rewatching? For me, it is Bob's Burgers because I love the dialogue, and Rick and Morty. What else? My wife is all about The Office, so I catch some of that on the periphery. It's not really my jam, but I listen to enough of it. What else? I think those are the big ones. Futurama used to be a huge one for me, but my wife's not into it as much. So if we're watching, usually we watch stuff together. So if she's not feeling it, it doesn't happen unless she's away for the weekend or something like that. So I'll let you guys answer. So yeah, mine were Bob's Burgers and Rick and Morty. I tend to binge them. I've probably binged them 3 times now. We don't watch a ton of TV, to be honest with you. Let's see what we got. The Office, yep. Venture Brothers. I haven't seen the Venture Brothers in forever. That show's freaking awesome. Right on, right on. Final Space, never heard of it. About that box, I was saying they did not include alternate builds. I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I must have misread that. I'm sorry. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Bench Boost, Tucker and Dale. Okay. My wife has watched South Park at least 5 times. That's awesome. Daniel, hello. House. Got Lone Star Wargamer says House. Okay. House is a good one. For me, I never got into the House as much as other stuff. And that's a weird thing. Like, we had like the first season on DVD, and I enjoy watching that like once in a blue moon. But I don't know, the later seasons I was like, it felt very repetitive until they reached that point where like there was a one continuous story rather than just like a disease of the week kind of thing, where he went and got mental health help and that kind of stuff. Like, oh, okay, now I'm back in. I get kind of tired. Same thing with like, is it Supernatural, the show with the 2 brothers that are like monster hunters? Like once in the beginning it was really rough because it was like just a monster of the week type thing with no grand narrative. But then after a while, they started to have like, story arcs that would cover an entire season, and I was like, okay, now we're talking. You get the bill, it's just not the instructions. Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, you can figure that out. Let's see. Triratana, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. Lore Master Sotek, another Warhammer channel, start covering Age of Sigmar now. At least until Total War Warhammer 3, because Warhammer's teetered out. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the reason I started a whole channel about AOS is because you could see the writing on the wall with that, I don't know. I feel like it was pretty apparent, but some folks believe if you complain enough, they'll go backwards and reset the old world, and I don't know. I was never of that mindset. And so rather than blasting people for liking Age of Sigmar, you just embrace it, lean into it, take the leap of faith with GW, and all of a sudden, boom, here we are. But, honestly, that's the thing. Someone once asked me, like, are you getting pissed because all these channels are now hopping, quote-unquote, hopping on the bandwagon? I said, absolutely not. You know what I mean? Like, as long as they're quality content producers, like, they're not fear-mongering, they're not, playing off people's rage and trying to, like, I don't know, make anxiety and ruin people's, experiences and fun and allow for all different kinds of play. Like, no, more content is just good for all of us. I have this theory, and it comes from an internet marketer guy, where he said basically there's no such thing as competition on YouTube. And what he means is none of you guys are paying for any of this, so it's just a matter of attention. And at that point, it's just like, well, I just got to be engaging and provide value. And that's a good thing to do, and I hope more people do it. Let's see. Steven Universe, okay. Best series ever, Avatar: Last Airbender. You know what I watched recently was the old Batman cartoon that used to be, I think it was WB. Loved it. Forgot how great that was. My good friend in high school, Brad, used to always watch that in the background in his room. I was like, I never understood it. And then I started watching it for myself, and I was like, this art and animation is amazing. Everything is great about this. Now we have a Robert Pattinson Batman, which I'm not sure how that's going to go, but he can't do any worse than what we've been doing so far. Let's see. I'm going to look at the chat real quick and see if there's any pending questions for me, and then we'll jump back into my list here. I'm enjoying this. It's kind of cool to know what people... I've never heard of a lot of these shows, and that's awesome. Just getting into the hobby. Getting bone splitters. I've consumed a lot of lore. Question, is it a bad thing if I don't paint my models? No. No, I mean, bad thing I think is a strong wording for it. I don't think it's bad. You will, I mean, I'm not someone who would ever say, like, I'm not going to play against you because you don't have painted models. That's kind of not my jam. But there are people who like that experience. And so I think if you're dead set on, like, I'm just not going to paint these models, that's fine. Just understand that if somebody wants a different experience, they're playing against someone with painted models, don't be offended. Just go, okay, thank you. And you just, ask somebody else if they want to play. There's plenty of people, I think, really soon who are going to be wanting to play against bone splitters. Simply because I think they're going to start appearing at tournaments in greater degree. Because I think they're pretty cool. And so, just understand, there's going to be people who are like, yes, I want to play against bone splitters because I need to get practice in. And there's going to be people who are like, nah, not really, I don't want to play against unpainted models. Just be cool with it. And enjoy your hobby. If your painting seems daunting and annoying and you don't really care, that's fine. If you ever realize you want a painted army, nothing wrong with getting it done commission-wise. But, not everyone's made of money, and not everyone cares enough to get commission stuff done. And so if it's not a priority to you, don't worry about it. Locally, what our tournaments do, and I actually really like this, is you can bring unpainted models and nobody cares. It's just that if you play an unpainted army, you're not eligible for prizes. And so that's to me the most important prize is favorite player. Like, people have voted that they really like playing against me. So that's the one that I'm after. So I try to always bring painted stuff. I think what was the last event that I went to? I think that was the one where I brought Skaven, actually. It's been a long time. That one No, I went to one after that. Okay, never mind. I'm losing my mind. That one I brought an unpainted. Almost half my army was unpainted. No, I was fine with it. Nobody cared. There's not some secret GW police that are going to come and take your models. So, you just do you, man. Glad you're joining the hobby, though. And I think Bone Splitters is a super awesome army. Let's see. There's a few here about hobbies, but, the fact that we're all here talking about Warhammer kind of answers those already. What music artists do you never tire of? Music artists that you never tire. This is actually interesting because I'm not big into music, so I'm gonna go back to this stream and look at y'all's suggestions and check it out. For me, if I'm talking about music that I never ever get tired of, I'm probably going to say like folk music. Really like Lord Huron. There's some great stuff. Just because it's chill. You know, I think the most between folk music and like that lo-fi jazz just channels you find online, like on YouTube, that's probably what I consume the most of, just because for me music is kind of like my little escape to just like zone out and relax rather than like listen to something that gets me pumped or excited or like that. So let's see. Omniphage brings up a good point to that earlier question. If you don't pay your models, just be super on top of making sure people know what each unit is. That's doubly important when it comes to bone splitters because a lot of the units are based on the same box. And so they're very, very easy to confuse. For example, like the models that I'm holding right now, these are Savage Moor Boys. But they are different than the basic Savage Orc in only one respect, is that the right hand is holding a weapon rather than a shield, and if they hold a shield, they're a Savage Orc. If they're holding a weapon, they're a Moor Boy. That's their idea. Is like the Moor Boys are more elite because they're just wielding more weapons, kind of thing. So like that's a super subtle difference. Just be clear. But that goes with anything. That goes with conversions, proxies, anything like that. So. One thing, if you just don't want to paint, one thing you can really easily do to just set your units apart, just for that exact reason of just making it really easy to know what's what, you can just get a rattle can and just spray either the models or the bases different colors, and honestly, it's fine. It just helps people, especially like if you have two units that pile into each other, knowing which unit is which is super nice. Okay, I see the music suggestions pouring in. I saw Metallica. That's awesome. I haven't listened to them since high school. I should definitely get back into them. I had a Metallica phase. For me, it was a phase. I think they're still a great band. Then I watched Some Kind of Monster. The documentary where they're like, I don't know, struggling with life just because they're getting older and not rocking out as much. And I was just like, oh, that's sad. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Linkin Park, Melt Banana. I haven't heard that in a long time. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Panic at the Disco is a great choice. Got here late. What are we painting, Doug? I'm painting some Savage Moor Boys for some Bone Splitter reinforcements. Okay. Cool cool suggestions here. Let's see. The Score, Tech 9, Shinedown, good. Oh, Lindsey Sterling's is a classic. That's a great one. Of Monsters and Men. Yeah, sweet. There's a good solid mix here. Okay. Let's see. Next question, okay? So if for those of folks, because I see people, the number of people watching has gone up. We're playing a game where these are just date night questions that I found online. So I ask the question, and then I answer it. And while I'm answering it, you type in your responses, and I'll read them off, and we'll just have a good laugh getting to know each other. Next one. What do you like but are embarrassed to admit? So like guilty pleasures. What do I like but I'm embarrassed to admit? I'm going to say basic white girl music of the late 90s, early 2000s. That's going to be... so in full disclosure, the last couple days I've driven into work, I have listened to songs like Breathe or anything by Jewel or what else? Alanis Morissette. Not boy bands, never was into boy bands, but yeah. My white man says Warhammer. Fair enough. That's a fair thing. Cybertronic canned ravioli. Oh man, that is That is solid. See, when it comes to food, for some reason, I embrace stuff that I should be ashamed of. I'm just like, yeah, I got 30 pounds of food at Taco Bell. You didn't? What a loser. Paid $8 for that organics thing of grapes. Nerd. Jewel was a babe. Who doesn't love that? Basic stuff is basic for a reason. Ben Marshall has no shame. Nice. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you can be open and honest with people that you play with toy soldiers, everything else seems pretty normal. You're like, oh, you're looking at Morissette? Okay, cool. Pop figures. Right on. Kenzie made it. Sweet. So yes, we're doing pro wrestling. King Bread, don't be ashamed of pro wrestling. Jack over on Rerolling Ones, he likes pro wrestling. So does Brent, I believe. And I tried getting into pro wrestling. Okay, like trying to pick it up, but it's like tuning into season 17 of a soap opera. You're just like, I have no idea what's going on, and so it's a lot to take in, which honestly is kind of like Warhammer, but you know what I mean, just in terms of like so much going on. Doug, I wore a dinosaur costume around Nova. Fair. My guilty pleasure is buying books and then never reading them. That's a fair one. Okay, let me get set up with my next color here. Again, we're doing this my normal ping pong style that someone said that like I just all of them shoot this way and then all shoot this way. What am I doing next? I need to do straps on armor. There we go, little Rhinox hide. WWF around 2000 with a golden time. So I remember as a kid, my brother was into wrestling, but I didn't really watch it with him. He's a little bit older than me, and so I had to go to bed earlier. That kind of stuff. I remember Macho Man Randy Savage, and he's just like, just the idea of unbridled masculinity in the dumbest, most, was it 90s way possible was the greatest. Let's see. Food-wise, it is how plain my food tastes, like absurdly plain. Otherwise, I guess it would be how much Minesweeper I play. Oh, that's a great one, Grant. I am also someone who prefers more bland food. My wife makes fun of me because, like, whenever she makes dinner, like, for example, like something with beef, I'd rather just eat the ground beef just plain, you know, like cooked, obviously, but just boring ground beef. She's like, why? Why would you ever eat that? That's like the most bland thing ever. I was like, is it really? I don't know. I think it's fine. And I tell her not to judge me. Let's see. AEW, All Elite Wrestling. King Bread, if you are interested in a fun wrestling podcast, because there's a podcast I listened to that made me want to learn about wrestling, is Kind of Fun by the Last Podcast Network. Pretty good stuff. Let's see. Why mayo gotta be so spicy? Let's see. Yeah, I wish this. Yeah, exactly. I wish this toothpaste wasn't so spicy. Says every white person. Let's see. I'm looking for the next good question. Okay, 21. What is your favorite international food? And so most of my viewers are in America, the UK, and Australia. So I'm going to say exclude those countries just so we can all, generally all of us, say international. For me, I'm going to go with I'm going to go butter chicken and naan, Indian food. Hard to beat. I'm also always down for a good pad thai. Euros. Oh, euros are good. Kinsey gets embarrassed with how deep she goes with NPCs. That's funny. My lack of spice resistance. I had an ex-boyfriend who loved spicy stuff and he failed to get me into it. I didn't like it until I moved to Texas when I was 14 or so. And I think the thing is, for me, what I had to learn was, like, spice done well adds flavor rather than distracts it. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like, good spicy chicken is flavorful and juicy with chicken, and also there's more flavors there. Whereas bad spicy chicken is when all you like, it just feels like you're sucking on a pepper, and that's all you taste. It doesn't matter what the actual food is, because you've doused it in so much spice that you can't taste it. You know what I mean? You can replace the meat with whatever because none of it matters. You can't taste it. So I think when I kind of figured that out, that like, oh, there's different kinds of spice, and some is actually super good. That took me a hot second to figure out. Somewhat related, crocodile meat is awesome. Right on. I have a terrible, terrible fear of crocodiles. Honestly, just of most creatures that live in the water, because you can't see them coming. Is our bread different from American bread? I don't know. I don't know what European bread is like. I know, like, in some countries over there, bread is different. Unfortunately, my palate is unable to handle the non-Americanized versions of foreign dishes. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Let's see. Okay, kind of answered that one already. Here's a weird one. We don't have to spend much time on it, but I just think it's funny that it's on this list. Is that what's your favorite app on your phone? And I guess mine's probably the Citadel color thing. I just look at it all day. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. Okay. So again, if you have a question you want to ask about Age of Sigmar or me or that, go ahead and throw it in the chat. Just put question in all caps so I can actually see it. But here's the next one for us. Best and worst ice cream flavor. So best for me, chocolate brownie. I love chocolate brownies so much. Especially if it's a good brownie. As far as worst for me, I despise mint. A close second is, I'm not a huge fan of marshmallow in my ice cream. Let's see. Discord's my fave. Oh yeah. Tons of good apps. Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. For some reason, I don't really have like emotional attachments to apps, and so it's just a very strange thing to someone be like, "What's your favorite application?" Like I don't know. Google Chrome, Maps, iMaps. Best cookie dough, worst s'mores. Yeah, I'm kind of weak on the s'mores. Yeah, the marshmallows aren't my jam. Let's see. Best is green tea, Ben. You should be ashamed. There's your thing you should be ashamed about. Green tea. No. You're doing it all wrong. Okay, so let's move on here. Dig the half-baked flavors from Ben & Jerry's. Bluebell also. Bluebell's pretty incredible. I do miss Bluebell ice cream. There's none up here. We have, our equivalent is Tillamook from Oregon. It's good. Not as many fun flavors. just a second. Get him done. And one of these questions is, if you unexpectedly won $10,000, what would you spend it on? It's like a single trip to a Games Workshop store. Let's see. What would be your dream job? Dream job. Well, you know, my goal, as I've said before, is to do YouTube full time. But if I had to pick a more traditional job, I don't know, something where I help people. It's important to me that I feel like I'm helping people. Honestly, I might go back to being a caregiver. I liked being a nursing assistant and working in a hospice and that kind of stuff. It was good stuff. Hard stuff, but you feel good afterwards. Marine biologist. That's a very specific one. Right on. Are you in school for that, or is that just, you know, just a dream job? That would be awesome. I'm not gonna lie, that terrifies me. I would never. That's not true. I would love to study wildlife in the ocean, but I never want to like be there with it. I have a terrible fear of things in the water. Which is weird. I never had a bad experience. I just have as long as I can remember, always been scared of stuff biting at me and that kind of thing in the water. I did almost get my arm taken off by a croc once, but I guess he was a gator, not a croc. I applied with Funko today. Funko Pop? Because, like, I work 5 blocks from the Funko Pop place in Everett. That'd be kind of funny. Be a small, small world. Okay, let's see. Junior meetup groups. A lot of these are like just different iterations of the same thing. Let's see. What are people often surprised to learn about you? Let's see. What are people often surprised to learn about me? I think one thing that's caught people off guard the longer they've known me is just how dysfunctional my family and my upbringing was. Because people will meet me and they'll be like, oh, you seem like a very normal, well-adjusted person. And then I can tell them stories of like my childhood and they're like, oh. And that's not to sound cool. It's like, I'm very proud of breaking a lot of, we'll say, unhealthy cycles in my family's life, many of which are still going on with family members. But when I tell people that, they're like, oh. It's a base material, prime it, white, and then Gorgon to Burr contrast over it. Sweet. Jordan, I crochet. That's awesome. My wife is into... It is crochet. Yeah, she knit for a little while, but then she got into crochet. And I always thought it was super cool, just because it's just like you get to make something. That's the coolest thing there is. The act of creation is just awesome in all its artsy forms. I was trying to learn how to do those little like crochet like chibi looking dolls, but I could not figure it out for the life of me. Let's see. I trace ancestry to Charlemagne. Surprising since I had no class. I don't know, man. It takes a special kind of classy person to hop inside a dinosaur suit at a toy soldier convention. Let's see. People are always surprised to learn I'm left-handed, and I like metal music. Right on. It's funny. It's funny how sometimes I feel like, at least locally, with a lot of people, if they're like, "Oh, you like metal music," and it's like, "Did you really think that you're the only person on the planet who likes metal music?" Like, no, tons of people like metal music. It's whatever. It's funny how we just kind of rule some people out for like, oh, they wouldn't like this thing. And you're like, you have no idea. Let's see. Oh, another ice cream callback. Best is cherry vanilla. Worst is coffee. I'll give you the coffee one. That's pretty bad. Totally predictable. I'm a chubby nerd who likes chubby nerd things. That I have no sense of smell. Now, when you say you have no sense of smell, are you like a true, I think the term is anosmia, like you actually have no sense of smell? Because it's fascinating to me. I can do amazing Golem and Smeagol impression. I can do decent back massages. That's funny. My art teacher in middle school had no sense of smell. People were horrible to him. Oh no. That's not a good profession to have no sense of smelling, because a lot of those paint thinners and junk are terrible smelling. So if you don't know if you're stinking up the place, that's a bummer. Chronic rhinitis, I can smell things sometimes. Right on. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. Let's see. I'm going to try something just to see if I can save some time and cheat, but I'm going to throw some wildwood over this green and see exactly what happens. We're just going to play around. Have fun with this one. Okay, let's do this. It's looking okay. I'll wait for it to dry and then we'll get a good sense of how this looks. I mean, that's the thing is with contrast, like none of the edges on these weapons are sharp, like on the shaft of them, right? Like, so there's not like a thing. So oh yeah, it'll look just fine. Cool. We're just gonna do that. Let's see. I've received 7 national awards for my poetry. That's amazing. Let's see. One of the questions here is, what would you do with extra time if you never had to sleep? I'm just like, this. I would just do this. I would paint 1 army a week. Some of these are like, I mean, these are supposed to be like first date questions, and some of them are like, if you could send a letter to yourself at your worst point as a child, what would it say? It's like, that is super heavy for a first date, bro. Like, ease in. Okay, here's a good one. What is a fad that you totally bought into and felt dumb, or you dismissed it later? I'm going to add, maybe not feel dumb for, but that you laugh about now, that you got into it so hardcore. For me, probably playing Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot. It helped me when I moved to Texas because I had, I got to meet people, have a reason to go out and meet folks. But got super into it. So, a fad or something that was popular that you got into could be clothing, if anyone's done the flock of seagull haircut, that kind of stuff. Silly bands. Nice. Kevin has a question. If you could add or change in if you could add or change in the lore of AOS, what would it be? So yeah, if I could change something, what I would do is what I really want GW to do is clearly define what a god is, and or come up with different names for things. Because like saying the Chaos Gods is so different than saying like the Pantheon Gods. And then when you say like Pantheon Gods, you're also referring to like Nagash, who's currently not on the good guy's side, but he was at one point. So now we need a different descriptor for that, because he's not a good god, he's just kind of there sometimes. And then you also have stuff like Marathi and Archeon, who are trying to achieve godhood, but it's never really outlined how. Like, how are they going to fulfill that mission? And so, like, what is the actual end game? Because, like, Archeon is just, like, he fights at a godlike level, so it's like, what's the difference? Explain it. So, that would be my thing, is more explanation and articulation of, like, what divinity means in the mortal realms and the extent of their powers and their knowledge and that kind of stuff. Because we know a few things, but not as much as I'd like to. Let's see. Hardcore into bongo board for a while. I almost read bingo. This is like, man, old lady killer at the old folks home. Bingo. Right on. Bongo board. Yeah, I never got into skateboarding. I think I knew from an early age that I have no coordination and that I would just fall and break something, so I never tried. What else? That's pretty much it. A lot of games. A lot of my things are more centered around like trying to meet people and that kind of stuff. Let's see. Eric Elric playing Pogs. Nice. Solid choice. Got a few Pogs. Yep. UFO investigation stuff. I wouldn't say it's done, but it used to be really an MMA. I travel around the country going to UFC events. Cool. I did the same thing with UFO investigation. I would love to go to a UFO investigation. Like, Jack knows about this, but like one thing that I'm super into is, what am I trying to say? Like true crime and horror stories and all that kind of stuff, where like weird stuff happens and men in black show up and make the situation weird, and I love that stuff. I want something unexplainable to happen to me that doesn't involve physical harm, but yeah, I don't know. I'm a sucker for it. So I want to go and like meet that guy who just has like bug eyes for the rest of his life because something weird happened to him. But you can't talk about it out loud because the government's watching. Like, I want to meet that guy. Go to Skinwalker Ranch. Life tip, worried about failing, don't even try. Well, Omniphage, it's more about that I have terrible pigeon toes. So, like, I struggle to ski. I can't snowboard because the way my feet lock in, it's extremely painful. So it was more just like knowing that, like, okay, that specific activity is probably not for me. Rather than I don't think I'll be good at it, so I don't try. I should have elaborated. Yeah, there's a bit more when it comes to skateboarding than I don't want to look dumb. Although I will say, when I'm driving and there's like a high school kid who's like riding a skateboard on the side of the road thinking he's all cool and then he biffs it, I do get a good chuckle. I am that guy. Let's see. Doug wants to get the Probulator 3000. Preferably not. Let's see. Clayton, question. Have you ever experienced sleep paralysis? I have not. I did have a spell when I was in college where every time I fell asleep, even like for like a nap between classes or something like that, it would always be, the dream would always be me dying, but it was always in very different ways, like car crashes, going off a cliff, or bleeding out somewhere. Just very weird stuff, but I never had sleep paralysis, to my knowledge. My understanding is that I would remember it if I did. Let's see. I met people like that. All about mind control and chemtrails was weird. Yeah. I remember sleeping next to someone who was lucid dreaming. It was a restless night for me. She once said in her sleep, "See you later, asshole," or something like that. That's funny. Let's see. Number 65. And so this is going to be a hard one to put into the chat just because it doesn't... the chat's not conducive to longer stories. But the question is, what's the strangest phone conversation you've ever had? And I just wanted to tell a little anecdote because it prompted it for me. But so at my job, you know, I get voicemails of people being like, hey, you know, my emergency device isn't working. So basically I send out those little like life alert buttons for old folks on behalf of the state. And every once in a while has technical problems. So I get to work, there's voicemails. And there's one lady, she was very sweet. She's like, hey, it's just not working. Can you just give me a call back and then we'll reset it or something like that? I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I call her, and a different woman than the one who left the voicemail answers, and just very angrily, before I could even say hello, just said, "I'm not giving you my blood," and then hung up. And I had to like sit there for a second and just kind of like rethink my life, because it was such a weird random thing that I had no, like, my brain couldn't understand what just happened to me. And then I kept calling back, and then this lady answered. Turns out it was the person who left me the voicemail was her daughter, and her daughter had signed up to, I guess, like at some kind of like Red Cross blood donation drive, and they've been bothering her. And so the reason she answered so angry and yelled that is because she didn't want to donate blood anymore or something. And so it was just like, ma'am, that was terrifying. Like, I was not emotionally prepared for you to accuse me of being a vampire at 8 a.m. before my cup of coffee. Let's see. The company you're for. I'm looking at the different questions here. Kenzie, question: can you read Red Queen? When you do a 2+ tomes on it. Sure. I don't know what that book is. I haven't actually. I've been so drowning in the new battle tomes that came out. I actually don't like it when they do the kaiju double event of battle tomes because it's just a lot to take in. But once I get my head out of those, I have to finish the Warcry one, and then then I'm free to do whatever. Okay. Question number 74. What is something that you have tried but will never do again? Something that I've tried but will never do again. I'm gonna go rock wall climbing. I did it. I'm proud I did it. Never gonna happen again. Hated it. Hated every second of it. Old Witch Doctor, Red Queen is a biography of Kenzie in the chat. I'm just kidding. It is a book. I honestly don't know much about it because I haven't read it yet. Let's see. Oh yeah, thing that I've tried and will never do again. Yeah, rock wall climbing for me. Let's see. This is this is another one I'm going to point out as just bad questions to ask on a first date. So if you are a gentleman asking these, just don't. The number 76 is, if you could be a man for just one day, what would you do? And I'm just like... Why would you ask that to someone on a first date, man or woman, right? If you're straight, bi, or gay, it doesn't matter. Like, what a dumb question. That makes me laugh. Let's see what's next. Here's a good one. Okay. I'm going to limit this question, so hear it out. What's the most embarrassing thing that happened to you in school? And so because we have some younger folks in the chat, I'm going to limit it to, let's say, high school and below. Right? Don't do college's school kind of thing. I'm going to say for me, it was, when I was in middle school, someone, I don't know, put their lunch or something on my seat at my desk, and I didn't realize it, and I sat down. And whatever they were eating, I guess it was probably just like chocolate, like a yodel or pastry or something like that. Basically, it looked like I crapped my pants. And rather than like someone actually talking to me about it, I just got berated and then laughed at quite a bit. Left a lot of emotional scars. Whatever, it's all good. I still am very, very paranoid. Like every time I leave the bathroom, I do like a triple check on myself to make sure, like, oh, okay, shirt tucked in, belt's on, zipped up, ready to go. Just because I'm like horrified at being embarrassed like that again. It's a deep wound. It's a deep burn. Old Witch Doctor, the question right now is, what's the most embarrassing thing that happened to you in school? And specifically, we're going to keep it to high school or middle school. I accidentally hit a boy in the junk. Once in 4th grade, got sent to the office and everything. That's awesome. Hey man, if he can't take it, he's not long for this world. Life will hit you in the junk. just get super hardcore jaded all of a sudden. Life is just going from one junk punch to the next. Ripped my shorts open from the bottom to the front of the girl, in front of the girl that I liked. Oh, that's funny. Got my tongue stuck in a suction drink. And get up being painful surprise. Ugh. As Miss Kid, so one time the teacher cited my desk was so messy she tipped it over and spilled all its contents on the floor. Oh, that just sounds like a loss for everybody. Sounds like nobody wins that. Cool to catch the live stream. Okay, Clayton, yeah, you have a wonderful night. Yeah. Hope everyone's enjoying this. Just a fun little chat, just to kill some time while we're all hobbying. Or my mom laughing and saying something like that too. Yeah. It sounds like our moms are similar. Okay. Let's see. It's life. It's punch junk or get your junk punched. I like that. I need to make a t-shirt for that. Welcome to 2 Plus Tough. Guard your junk. I feel like that wouldn't fly very well. Kind of like when Privateer Press used to have the, what was their thing? Play like a got a pair. I almost said nut up or shut up, but that's from Zombieland. I love it. Okay. Okay, so now this subcategory is called random questions. Okay, so first one. Cutest animal and ugliest animal. What do you think is the cutest animal and what do you think is the ugliest animal? For me, cutest animal, I'm going to say sea otters. And ugliest, I'm going to say... What's the ground, like, mole thing that has, like, a tentacle face? I hate that guy. I don't know what he is. Page 5, yes. That's what it is. Play like you got a pair. That's funny. Dogs and small dogs. That's fair. Yeah, they can be the same animal. I mean, like... You can be like, oh, it's adorable kind of ugly, you know. That is a legit answer. Star-nosed mole. Thank you, Grant. I don't want to, like, stop and go Google search what I think the ugliest animal is. I don't need my FBI agent watcher being like, oh, looks like Doug likes star-faced moles. And then Mark Zuckerberg to be like, send Doug on Facebook all the star-faced moles related ads that we have, and that's all I see on the internet for the next month. Because I feel like that's my life. It's all of our lives. Welcome to the dystopia. Okay, here we go. Best puffins. Puffins are a great one. Worst Malayan sun bears. I've never heard of that. Hairless cats are kind of spooky. I really don't like hairless cats. And I have a coworker who has 2 of them, and she is obsessed. She's a cat lady, and is constantly showing me pictures. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like... It's kind of like when someone has a baby, and the baby was just born, right? Like, brand spanking fresh looking baby. When they are straight just born, they look hideous, like little aliens, right? All the little red splotchy patches, and they're all weird. And then if you wait a week, you're like, oh, now it's a cute baby, right? You're like, oh yeah, I'm on board now. That's how I feel about hairless cats, where you just look at them, you're like, ugh. And then you're like, but the thing is with a baby, it's just like, give it a minute, and then it's cute. With a hairless cat, it's like, oh no, that's just what you are. Oh no. I love it. Let's see. Stuff. Have you ever considered replacing the brutes with Ardboys? There's more war chanters in your Iron Jaws list. I have actually. Right now I'm limited by what I have. But I have 10 more Ard Boys to the side of me right now. Yeah, and I do plan to kind of mix it up. Ideally, I want to do a heavy Ard Boy list because, one, I love Ard Boys. They're really good now. And two, I want to play a thematic Chapas list, which is like one of the sub-war clans you can be. And their lore is that they have a shaman as the leader. So I want to do a super converted shaman. And then have just a ton of Ard Boys. Now they still have Gruntas and they still have Brutes, but they have their predominant unit is Ard Boys. So I'm definitely working on that one. Let me grab a paint real quick. Okay, now we're just going to go through and do all of these. Actually, yeah, okay. I'm going to go through and do these things. Dr. V. Oh, thank you so much. Good luck with your Iron Jaws. The lore idea sounds fun. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Next week I'm going to be diving into War Clans a bit. I just really started with Cities of Sigmar because it's new lore and it's stuff that I've been so excited to hear about. But I really do plan on jumping into Iron Jaws and Bone Splitters and that kind of stuff. But thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Go ahead here. Okay. Ironic. End your life looking the same way you came in. Exactly. Father of two. Yep. Yeah. Let's see. Hugh. Yep. I finally went around and visited Waremaster Sotek's channel. He's a really cool guy. Didn't realize I was catching him at a weird time. He's actually traveling to the UK, I think, somewhere in Europe. He's officiating or helping to comment on a Total War tournament called Ever Chosen, which I didn't know existed, but I'm really happy it does. I was having this conversation with Jack where it's just like, I feel like Total War, the video game, is such a better rendition of Fantasy Battles than Fantasy Battles was. In terms of, I mean, like, you read the lore and it's these huge, grand armies, and you can do that on Total War, but you can't really capture it the same way on the tabletop. So, yeah. Okay. So here's our random questions continuing, okay? What household chore is your least favorite? Like, what do you just hate doing around the house? For me, it has to be vacuuming. I don't know why. It just annoys the ever-loving heck out of me. We also have a cat that, like, self-replicates every day. By that I mean he drops so much fur on the friggin' floor that you're like, oh, Finn just dropped another Finn's worth of fur on the floor. Awesome, I just vacuumed. And you just got to do it all over again. My cat's name is Finn, by the way. So yeah. Let's see. Question. I'm thinking of starting Bone Splitter's army and was wondering how many big stabas you get in a Savage Orc box. Yeah, so the way the boxes work is you get enough to build 20 models. And how you divvy that up is just for you alone to decide. And what you can do is build all 20 as any of the variants. So all the different Savage Orcs, the Moor Boys, Arrow Boys. Or you can take 4 of those 20 and put them in, make the big stabas. All the big stabas are is just the same torso and legs and that kind of stuff just with holding the giant stick. So each box you can build 4. The only note being that, like, if you do that, then you only have 16 models to build stuff with for everything else, which is honestly kind of annoying. But you know, with how many boxes, if you're gonna buy a full army, you'll buy enough boxes that honestly it won't make a difference. Like, for example, like I think I bought, what did I buy? I bought 2 boxes, and so one of them was all War Boys, what I'm painting right now, and the other one I did 10 War Boys, and with all the bits combined, I was able to make 4 big Stabbas, so 2 units because they come in pairs, and then I had a few extra torsos and that kind of stuff, and I'm going to eventually try my hand at kit bashing, like, what do you call them? War Docs and that kind of stuff, because they're pretty easy to make on your own, so. Yeah. Let's see. Dr. V, testing Bone Splitters. I have had the Boar Boy Maniacs do some real work. I'm thinking of making a list based on them. Have you any thoughts on Bone Splitters list? I have a lot of thoughts on Bone Splitters lists. I'm going to take a break from the questions here on the dating stuff. But, yeah, for Bone Splitters, who was I talking? I think it was just Jack. Was chatting about how, like, for the longest time, I thought the Iron Jaws were the real winners of the book. I was like, oh, yeah, a lot of this stuff is just Iron Jaws. Now that I've had time to digest it, I'm like, no, man. Bone Splitters won this book. This is incredible, and it's because of the kinds of buffs that you can layer on them, the way that the sub-factions work. Like, I think Bone Grins is amazing. I'm going to try to stay away from hyperbole because I don't want to be one of those internet talking heads that tells you, this is super good. But just denying your opponent options is just always good no matter what. I mean, that's just a universal, you know, anytime you can make your opponent put him in a bad choice spot, that's fine. That's good. So as far as like a Boar Boy centered list, yes, I think that I think it has play. Like, you can do it. The nice thing is that things are so cheap in that book that you can take a Kunnenruck, right, which is shooting, and then everything else can be boars, and that would be amazing because then you would have some shooting, some ranged things, not for like decimating units, but for picking off things here and there and making sure that they have to keep their heroes back, just having a threat. At the same time, you know, all the boars can just rush, because you figure, right, with Bone Splitters, you can load up a huge unit of boars, okay, and one of the spells you can do is give them double movement, and they can fly. So they have these flying picks. They move 12 inches. So the game starts, you move your Bone Splitters 5 inches, because one of their allegiance abilities now is that before the game starts, you get to move 5 inches. So they move 5 inches, or half your army gets to move 5 inches, but obviously you're going to pick them. They move 5 inches, you put the spell on them, it's super easy to cast, and all of a sudden they can now move 24 inches and still charge because they didn't run. So you can just like put the pig fist so far down someone's throat. And if it's a big unit that's fighty, there's other spells to buff their attacks. Obviously, they get bonus attacks the more there are. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to say like it's the best list ever, but do I think it could beat some people? Absolutely. Because you can shove so many units in their face that everything else in your army that's not on a pig gets to just run around and hop on objectives, which is exactly what they should do. Someone correct me if you think I'm wrong, but that would be my opinion. And if I was going to build a pigs list, that's exactly what I would do. Okay, we got a lot of sweeping and vacuuming and that kind of stuff. Right on. It's not just me. Let's see. Okay, here's one. It's a fun one. What do you normally buy, like regularly buy, that is expensive, but totally worth it. And we're going to exclude any kinds of models or anything hobby related. For me, I learned the second I left for college. Things you never go cheap on. Toilet paper. Let's see. Deodorant. Busted out in some nasty rashes because I tried using a cheap deodorant antiperspirant. What else? Dr. V. Aeroboys seem too hard to hit with right now. Yeah, they're not super good at hitting. They're super good at blotting out the sun with arrows. And so when you have a unit of 20, they get 60 shots. And then with the Cunning Ruck, you can do that twice, once in hero phase, once in the actual shooting phase. They're not good at hitting, but they're really good at saturation. So yeah. So let's see. Oh, tires, Jason says. That's a great answer. Tires is a fantastic answer. Expensive, but totally worth it. Premium dairy products are worth it. Okay, that's an interesting one. I hadn't thought about that. I've tried like 2% milk, like generic cheapest brand stuff at the store. Eggs are one that I've recently been like, oh yeah, I do like the nicer eggs. Sushi. Year-long bus pass condoms. Fair. Yeah. The extra $250 you spend on quality contraceptives can save you tens of thousands of dollars if you're not ready to have a kid. Let's see. Ice cream for sure. That's a good one. I'd say cheese. I can always taste the difference with a quality cheese. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Oh, shampoo, conditioner. And underwear. Okay. Here's a note, number 88. What's your favorite smell? And it can be good or bad. And that's an interesting question, mainly because they've done all these studies that show like smell is very much tied to memory. So I think that's what makes it an interesting question to me. It's what made it stand out. So I'm trying to think. My favorite smell. It's actually happening right now where if you walk out and it's fall, for some reason that fall smell of like the dead leaves and just the air kind of changing, I think it's just absolutely my favorite. You can just go outside and just like sit on the porch and just breathe. Especially if, even better, cherry on top, is when it's raining. You know what I mean? That kind of rain smell. Oh, so good. Right now it's raining outside and I love it. Got the window open so I can hear the pitter patter. Let's see. Pumpkin spice lattes. Yeah, I am a man. I love pumpkin spice lattes. Maybe lemons? Right on. Spearmint? Ugh. Barbecue's good. Okay. This one, again, it's another one that might be kind of awkward to answer in the chat there just because it usually requires a story. But what's the strangest way you've become friends with someone? And mine, I'm actually going to say is my lovely and dear wife, where the way we became friends was I was taking a mutual friend to a bus stop, but my back seat was full, and so what it was full of was a potato gun that I had built at a summer camp. When I was a staff there, I used a dismantled sprinkler head to create a pressure valve that can then release compressed air and shoot a golf ball, was what I used it for. And so, very redneck weapon of choice. And so, yeah, I was, the first things I ever said to my wife was like, hey, can I put my golf ball gun in your car? And she's like, is that a euphemism? Yes, that's what we all say in Texas when we want to woo a woman. The smell of D&D manuals. Question. What happens if I finally meet you in person? Grab a cup of coffee and hang out. I've met several people in the chat and in person, and we just kind of shake hands, ask how they're doing. That's about it. I'm a very chill person. Are there any minor chaos gods in AOS? None that have been mentioned, but it's something I hope they express. The only non of like the 4 typical chaos gods they've ever introduced have been the Great Horned Rat, and even then they're very clear that he is a chaos god. He's just none of the other ones like him, which is different than not being one or being a minor one. Let's see. Meeting 2+ stuff after hearing him on YouTube, kicking his butt in AOS and then busting to those chops over chat. Yep, that was a fun way to meet somebody. I think I've gotten better at the game since then, for sure. But that was a rough game. Oak Shane's in the chat. What's up, buddy? Yeah, honestly, like, I'm not famous. Meeting me is like meeting literally anybody else with a common interest. Oh, you like Warhammer? Yeah. Me too. Oh, cool. That's it. Bumped into a gentleman at the Warhammer, my local GW, this last weekend, actually, and he was just like, are you Doug from Duplo Stuff? And I was like, yeah, that's me. He's like, oh, cool. And he just walked away. I was just like, double cool. Let's see. Okay, so I gotta give, so a lot of these questions are terrible for first dates, but this one completely redeems it. Are you ready? I love this one, and I'm going to use it on Jess when we go on our next date night on Thursday. So, what sports would be funniest if athletes had to be drunk while playing? What sport do you think would be the funniest if athletes had to be drunk while playing it? I'm going to say... I'm torn. I like the idea of golf where it's a bunch of rich people. There's like making themselves look ridiculous. Baseball is probably really good for that if everyone had to be drunk. Rugby. I got a rugby vote. Okay, right on. Volleyball would be fun. Volleyball would be fun. Yeah, or Grant says esports. Oh, yeah, because then you can just do like a drunken Fortnite tournament. Especially if all the streamers start acting like 14-year-old boys screeching and calling each other out their moms or whatever like that. My dad knows where you live. Let's see. Most people are drunk when they golf. That's fair. That's a fair comeback. Dr. V, Bones player's mask convenient with the rolling 6 gives you 2 hits, you get 15 damage. You can do quite a bit. I mean, it can be awesome. NASCAR. That'd be awesome. Let's see. Let me grab my next color here and we'll jump back in. Do a little. Some of these guys have like reptile scales that they're carrying around, like they're wearing. So we're gonna do Stegodon Scale Green for that. Esports till someone supports. Yeah, when someone gets drunk enough to openly support Hong Kong, things get shut down real quick. Oh my goodness. Jack 1, I think. Yes, NASCAR is hard to beat. Not gonna lie, especially if you have that one guy who gets drunk enough to be like, I don't want to turn left, and then turns around and now he's going headlong into the NASCAR ring. I can turn right. I'm a man, dang it. Let's see. Okay, I got another question here. Be funny until it gets dark. Oh, it would get super dark. 110%. Let's see. Some of these are like weirdly political. Again, not good first date questions. What is your favorite band name? Specifically the name. You don't have to like the music, but just the name. I'm gonna go Butthole Surfers. With their classic hit, Pepper. That's a good one. I like that one. Favorite band name, not a unit. I'm sorry, not a unit. Not the actual songs or the music or anything like that. Just the band name. Great answer. Bolt Thrower is a good one. Chumbawamba. Oh, Chumbawamba was a great choice. Yeah. I'm trying to think of my favorites. There's, Bare Naked Ladies. There's... Oh my goodness. There's some other good ones. Yeah, I don't know. What else we got? I don't know. Political questions are going to thin the field. Yeah, but you gotta ease into it, like... I don't know. Because, me and my wife would disagree on some things. Finding someone is more than just their political views. Gotta find out, why they think what they think. Because everybody has a reason for why they think what they think. It's important to remember. Let's see. Sam Cooke, I've seen Butthole Surfers live. Nice. So G-Unit is out. Let's see. The Misfit. Okay, right on. Got some good stuff. Spasmatics. Here's a weird one. I like this weird one. How would you feel if you were in a white room with people all dressed in white? I don't know why that's a date question per se. like what information you would glean from somebody. That kind of seems more like something a therapist would ask. Or like when they're doing the test in Blade Runner, the old Blade Runner, like, imagine a tortoise upside down. Why is the tortoise upside down? You know, kind of freaking out like that, getting all itchy. This is a weird question. So, yeah, if you were in a white room surrounded by people in white clothes, how'd you end up there? What'd you do? I feel like you made some life choices. Or you just, like, entered a Mormon room where they're all just all wearing... Because they would generally, like, wear white. I think the women do, something like that. Some smaller sects of Mormon. So women wear all white. It's like, how'd you end up there? What are you doing? I would assume either dead or insane. Oh, yeah. Obvious one. We're going to assume it's not the gay. Okay. Yeah, that one's kind of a strange question because there's not really a lot to go on in terms of, like... Yeah, I think it's a weird date question because there's not a lot of that stuff to work with. You'd be like, oh, that'd be weird. And you gotta think, like, have I ever been in a white room with everyone dressed in white? It's like, I probably have at some point. I don't know. White people like white clothes. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. We're at 96 right now. We're chugging through these date questions. If you had the power to transform into a bird, what type of bird and which bird would you want to become? Okay, so yeah, just pick what kind of bird you could be if you could be a bird. For me, I'm gonna say a crow. We have a lot of crows in the Bothell area. They're really cool, really creepy, and I would want to fly with them. We have like a crow like protected like roost or whatever like that around here at the college, and they're pretty cool. They actually like, I don't know, darken the sky at night. It's really creepy. Penguin, peregrine falcon. Let's see, emu, they're legit. That's funny. Okay. Sweet. So the next section is would you rather questions. Okay. So here we go. Again, just throwing this out there because people are always coming and going from the stream. If you have any question you want to ask about me or Warhammer or anything like that, go ahead and type it in the chat. Just write question in all caps first so I see it. And but until then, we're playing a little game where I pulled up a list of 137 first date questions, some of which are terrible ideas for a first date, and we're just going through them and just having fun in the chat. So while we're painting, just doing all of that. So I ask a question and then I answer it, and while I'm answering, everybody else has been having a good time chiming in their answers as well. So far, my favorite question has been the what's your favorite band name? Doesn't have to do anything with the band. Doesn't matter what the band is or their music. Just what's the band name? And I like that one quite a bit. That's been a lot of fun. Let's see. So now we're going to hop into some basically this or that. Is kind of what it is. Would you rather live full-time in an RV or full-time on a sailboat? I would say RV because I can park it and paint, whereas in a boat I can't. Okay, so W. Soren, question. What color would you dye your hair if you had the chance? If I had the chance, I would actually probably go green or purple. I like those colors a lot. Spezia, question. Since you have the Battle Tome, do Iron Breakers have Grommel armor like Drakes do? I don't have it near me right now. It's in the other room, so I don't really want to step away. But I can figure that out later if you want to reach out to me online somewhere else. Sailboat. Really? I would go RV. Then you can go to all the conventions and just park and paint. Oh, that'd be such a good life. RV, yeah. Let's see. This is a dumb question. I'm always pointing out the terrible questions. Would you rather marry a nice guy or a flirty one? Like, why would you ask that on a first date? Like, are you going to just instantly become one or the other? What a dumb question. Okay. Here's a hard one because of my job history, okay? Would you rather spend 2 months living in a nursing home or spend 2 weeks eating only from Taco Bell? And here's why that's hard. I worked at a nursing home. I would love the idea of, like, 3 hots in a cot, right? You got 3 meals. You can pretty much do whatever you want all day. People waiting on you hand and foot. So I think, I don't know, man. If it's a good nursing home, it's like a 2-month, basically, vacation. It's kind of what it is. At least that's how I tried to make people feel when I worked with one. The problem is I also love Taco Bell, and I could eat Taco Bell for 2 weeks straight. So that's a problem. Let's see. Question: what is the model you ended up hating the most in terms of building and painting? I think the Morghast Archive. I did it for a friend and I hated those models so much. Nursing home, Taco Bell for 2 weeks would kill me. Probably Taco Bell, but I've only had it once. Yeah, Witch Doctor. It's not like good food. It's like food in air quotes, right? Like, come have this beef. You know what I mean? Gentlemen, that's also a great pickup line for the ladies. Beef. Anyway, so we'll move along. Would you rather go to an amusement park or a family reunion? I don't know who would say family reunion. Come on, get out of here. Okay. Okay, here's a good one. A lot of these have to do with, like, trying to understand somebody's, like, life goal. Obviously, they're date questions. So, would you rather live in a cabin in Alaska or on a tropical island? I would pick the cabin in Alaska. Amusement park. Oh yeah, amusement park wins every time. Why would you hang out with your family if you could go ride a roller coaster instead? Spezia, someone did answer your question. Armor and shield for a 3-up save. Tropical island. I say Alaska. Alaska. Yep. Alaska's too cold. Get your Texas weakness out of here. It's never too cold. It's how you know you're alive, when it hurts and you feel the pain in your feet. Never Alaska. I'm allergic to cold. My goodness. Give everyone a second to answer and be wrong about not moving to Alaska. It's always too cold. Let's see. Okay, here's a weird one. I like it. Would you rather be confined to your home for 1 month and only able to communicate with the outside world via fax machine, or unable to go to your home for 3 months? If you were basically like evicted for 3 months. I choose staying home with a fax machine. Let's see. Oh man. So now there's this whole section on like deep first questions to ask. And I feel like some of the questions that I already asked were pretty deep. So let's see how rough this gets here. So things that probably I would never ask on a first date. Let's see. Okay, remember I'm still trying to paint. Got to pay attention where I put the brush. Well, these aren't too deep. Like, what are some accomplishments that you're really proud of? I wouldn't say they're deep questions. They're personal, you know? They make you think. One for me that I'm really proud of is just having the YouTube channel and getting a bunch of cool people together to chat about stuff. Let's see. Here's an interesting one. How have you changed most since high school? How have you changed most since high school? For me, it's gotta be, I'm much more others oriented. Like, I was raised in a home where you look out for number one, right? And I was not raised in a way to consider other people's feelings. And in fact, meeting Jess and then getting married has been a real eye-opener. I was like, man, I feel so, like, I didn't realize how selfish I was, how, like, my plans didn't include other people, like, in general, like, even just life, like, where I want to be and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of been my biggest thing, is just changing as a person to, like, just include other people. And that's extended all as far as, like, to the channel and that kind of stuff. I never would have done this. High school Doug would have never done this kind of thing with the channel and that kind of stuff. Getting people to read Red Queen is my accomplishment. Okay, yeah, but you've also been out of high school for like 2 weeks. Let's see. Give it time, everybody changes. I have considerably less bothers than I did when I was in high school. That's fair. I definitely thought that said brothers, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to ask you what happened, what tragic event happened that you lost all your siblings. Or if you killed them. I mean, I don't know. Someone just says it so casually. I'm like, oh. Painful memory or victorious achievement? I can't tell. But yes, less bothers is good. Military service. That's okay. Okay. We'll go to Alaska for that burn. That's good. Let's see. Here we go. What? This is a question and it has an example. Okay. What says the most about a person? So if you're getting to know somebody, what tells you the most things you need to know? And the example they give is how they treat animals, right? If you see someone treating animals with compassion and love, like obviously you're like, oh, they have a soft heart kind of thing. For that one, for me, it is... A big one is how they treat a significant other. I hate seeing men and women treat each other like in a I want to say disrespectful, because that word means a lot of things to different people. But I mean, like, I hate seeing when men insult their wives, kind of thing, and vice versa, just like demoralizing spouses and that kind of thing. So I don't know. That's a big one to me. How you treat your spouse or a significant other or a partner, or however you want to word that. Doesn't matter what kind of relationship you're in. That's a big one. Because here's the thing is, like, if you're not kind and compassionate to someone that you've basically hitched your wagon to, then everything else to me is a lie, right? Because that tells me if we become close friends at a certain point, you're going to treat me like them, and that's not acceptable. Have a wonderful night, Grant. How they treat waiters. That's a great one. That's a great one. Sportsmanship, yeah. Spending habits. Interesting. Anyone they don't have to show respect to. That's a great way to put that. Waiters is a good classic one. How they treat people that aren't, we'll say, mission critical to them. Let's see. What's the best way to get to know who someone really is? I think the classic one is going to dinner, having dinner together, seeing how they act in different social environments, for the exact same reasons we just talked about earlier. Ooh, this is an interesting one. I like this one. So, here's the question. If you could instantly receive a PhD degree and all of the knowledge that comes along with it. So, like, if you chose medicine, you'd instantly become a very competent doctor. If you could instantly receive a PhD with all the discipline and knowledge that it requires it, what would your PhD be in? So you could obviously choose medical doctors, but PhDs can study anything you want. If you could just have instant knowledge of something to its core, what would it be? And be like an authority on that thing. I think, honestly, literature. Like, if I could have all the knowledge about literature but not have to put the work in, I really think that I would. But right now, it's a lot of the deeper stuff when it comes to understanding why a work is important and doing like really solid reviews on it. It just kind of goes over my head. So that would be my answer. We got marine biology, we got psychiatry, theoretical physics, animation, funk, PhD in funk. I love it. You'd be like, oh my gosh, what's that video? Dr. Tran has a PhD in kicking your ass. That's a callback. That's a deep callback if anyone was on the internet like 15 years ago. Not 15, that's an exaggeration. But what is that? When was Dr. Tran really big? 2010? Something like that. Something like working warp drive. The fact that you gamed the question does say a lot about you. Okay. Trying to think of what to do next on these guys. Kind of hit a stall point. I'm gonna just do some browns. I just remembered that. Yeah. Here comes Dr. Tran. If anyone's looking for a laugh and doesn't know what I just referenced, go ahead and Google Dr. Tran. Come to the toy store and get killed by Greg Kinnear. Okay, real answer, probably linguistics. Okay, right on. That's a solid answer. Question. What did you do for their weapons, Doug? Oh, these guys? So, I'll show you here. The final effect, let me make sure this is on camera here. Oh, here we go. Is going to be something like this, where it goes from a black-gray stone, and I work the color up to being like a radiant red. And so these guys, just for the record, if you go back in time, you can watch it. They are painted as Drakfoot, because in the last Bone Splitters book, I thought Drakfoot was the coolest thing because of all the different... basically, it makes your War Docs, your low-level wizards, better. And it still kind of does. It doesn't do the same thing as much anymore now. Of course, Drakfoot's all about the ignores ethereal and that kind of stuff. So, but I'm going to continue with that theme, even though the book has changed and what inspired me about it has changed. But yeah, so that's what it's going to do. So what I did was I put Black Templar on all the weapons to get that nice base, and then I'll start dry brushing to build it up. And so basically what it is it's you go black with a dry brush of like Dawnstone, and then you just do a dry brush of Corn Red, Mephiston Red, and that very, very tip where it's like the most radiant is Kindle Flame, which is like a dry brush specific paint by G-Dubs. And they mostly use it for their... I think the first time I saw it was like in a Fire Slayer tutorial, like forever ago, back when Emma used to work for him. So, Ghost Glowing Bones. Basically, yeah. Made some nice looking weapons. Thank you! Yeah, they're pretty cool. I gotta say, Kindle Flame is probably one of my favorite paints for that reason. Whatever you put it on, it just makes it look cool. If you ever need a weapon to glow for whatever reason. I'm just going through and picking out all of the guys who have fur, like loincloths here. I'm actually going to have to hop off here pretty soon. But we'll finish these guys up. But I like this. I like the date night questions. I got some fun answers. Let me see if I have any more here. There should be like 10 or so more. Here's a good one. What's the hardest you've worked for something? Hardest that I've worked for something. Honestly, probably this channel. Like, I've stuck with it longer than, frankly, most jobs that I've had. I guess the longest time I've had a job was about 3-4 years. Just because I move around a lot, but this has been a big thing. And it's only getting bigger, so that's awesome. This is probably the most consistent project I've ever done in my life. So we're going to have a second date? Yeah, we could do that. I think, you know, a lot of times I just do live streams where I just turn on the camera and just like wait for people to ask questions and stuff like that. But I think this is a lot of fun where I had something planned and we could just go through some questions. So we're definitely going to do this again. Or something akin to it. Or maybe I'll just boot up a topic and we'll just chat about it. The thing is just Warhammer community page has been so stinking slow with the AOS news lately because it's all the 40k all the time right now, which is fine. You know, that's fine. They get their time. It just makes a really slow news week when you're like, so other stuff happening, stuff that doesn't affect me at all or interest me. Well, my buddy Ben is a ardent Salamanders player, so I'm very excited to hear his thoughts. He's a man of few words, though, so it's mostly like, it's good. Cool. What a scathing review. Let's see. Nah, okay. That's it for the good questions. None of the other ones are interesting at all. So, now that color is done, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the night. Thank you, friends, for joining me. My fun little endeavor. Hope to see you all very, very soon in the next stream. And what else? I don't know. Yeah, so obviously we had no video go out today because of just my schedule being weird. Next week's back to normal, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Fridays are a live stream. Shouldn't be any different this week. I will see you guys on Friday so I can catch some of my European viewers at a more reasonable time. Until then, thank you all so much for joining me, and I will catch you all very, very soon.